Are you ready? It's the Roundtable with me, Robert Bannon.
It's Cinco de Mayo. Did you celebrate? Are you celebrating Cinco de Mayo? Are you going to have a drink? Cheers to Cinco de Mayo. To me and you. I don't drink, so that was club soda. But cheers. You know what I do instead of drink? Eat. That I'm good at. I made this. I stole it from upstairs at my cousin's house while they're gone. I actually had a cauliflower pizza for dinner. Not very Cinco de Mayo friendly, right? Well, happy Cinco de Mayo. I hope you're celebrating somewhere or you're here with me. We're celebrating for sure. My friend Mike, you know, my Mike, as I call him, but he's really Mike of the world. We are live. We're live. Welcome to the Roundtable. I'm Robert Bannon, and welcome. You've stumbled upon this messy little show. And this messy little show sometimes gets real famous people, like Perez Hilton and Peppermint are here tonight. So you are in for a long show. So hold on to your hat and don't go anywhere. Hey, Abby Thompson. Abby Thompson's from Birmingham, England. And hello, Roundtablers. I love that they came up with this name. I didn't come up with this name, I swear. And cheers. This is my gift from Christine, who also watches. You're also sweet. I wanted to take a moment to say happy Teacher Appreciation Week to all of my fellow teachers. I'm a fifth grade teacher here in New Jersey, and I know that it's a tough year, a tough couple of years for teachers for sure, because we've all literally been in this pandemic together. It's been a tough year for everyone. So all of the teachers out there who are in the classroom every single day fighting the front line, you make a difference. We make a difference. And I'm so grateful and appreciative to be in this field with you because where would the world be without our teachers, right? So happy Teachers Appreciation Week. What else do I have to say to you all? Oh, so much. I have notes. Do you want to know what you should be reading? This book has me gagged. I've been staying up late to read this book about Viola Davis's life. This book is so brilliant. Go to Amazon right now. She's not coming on the show. She's too famous. I don't get any money for this. This is a must read for an actor, for someone who's struggling, for perseverance, for strength. This woman, I have so much more. I was so respectful of her. I so loved her. But now I'm obsessed. She is absolutely brilliant. Hi, Miss Margaret. How are you? Miss Margaret joins me in the school. So happy Teachers Appreciation Week to you, Miss Margaret. You help every single day for sure. Alrighty. What do we have to say? We have a big show. Perez Hilton. Everyone's typed Perez Hilton in their life is here. Peppermint is here from RuPaul's Drag Race, the first trans person ever out. She lost her makeup. She lost her makeup on a flight. And so we're doing it without camera. But she's here. We're going to do it. I appreciate her keeping her commitment, especially with her bags lost. Oh, God, that's terrible. That's absolutely the worst. I hope you're all doing well. Thank you all for being here. Next week is a really big show. It's not Cinco de Mayo next week. It's not Teachers Appreciation next week. You have no excuse to not be here next week. Next week, the one and only, our dream girl, the world's dream girl, Miss Jennifer Holliday herself is here. The Tony and Grammy winner has a brand new single. She was just on The Masked Singer, and she's going to come here and talk to us about it all. So everyone knows where you've been when you heard those church bells singing and the end I'm telling you. And she's an icon. And I've been trying to get her to do our show from the Quarantine Cabaret and Cocktails days. So the fact that we have Jennifer Holliday here is mandatory watching next week. And then Davon Williams is joining us. And if you're not an actor, you may not know about what's going on, but the Equity, the acting union for theater has been in a fight and has been fighting, and there's an election coming up. And I really like what this guy has to say, because speaking of Peppermint, he thinks that drag performers should be under the union. He thinks cruise ship performers should be. Do you know that all of them work with no union, no guaranteed pay, no hours? And they work in really unfair conditions, and they're drag performers and cruise ship performers and touring musicians and artists that are making next to nothing. $50 a show or things like that. And he's out to fight it. So he's going to be here. So next week, mandatory watching, everyone, mandatory watching. No excuses. Miss Margaret losing makeup, you'd cry your eyes out too. She's hopefully a good sport about it, but I'm excited to hear what she has to say, for sure. So that's a really exciting week coming up. We have Tanya Pinkins, Justin Guarini, Darlene Love, Rufus Wainwright, Anais Mitchell, and more coming up. We were doing a whole entire Pride month, celebrating Pride all month next month. So you're not going to want to miss all the fun. We have Michael Feinstein. We have the star of the new Medea movie, the first out character in a Medea movie. We have a lot of stuff. We're going to do Lempicka. We're going to do Strange Loop for all the Broadway fans. So don't miss the next coming months. It's definitely going to be one. Yes, mandatory. My mother says she's here. If you stay with me till the end of the show, she will be mad at me, but that's fine. We're doing a tribute to mom. So if you are a mom or you have a mom or you're my mom, please make sure you stick around to the end of the show. It's 40 seconds, a little something, and she can be embarrassed. I don't care. Mother's Day is Sunday, so happy Mother's Day to all the moms. We'll celebrate you at the end of the show. All right. What else do I have to say? It's time for the week in review. You ready? It was a good one. Here's my week in review, only here on the Roundtable. Here we go. So last weekend I went to a carnival because that's what I do on my day off. I went with these two little monsters. That's little Sam. That's Vanessa. We went to the Richfield Carnival. That was to support her school and the PTA. We had a great time. We were spoiled rotten, as you can see, by all the cotton candy and the popcorn and the toys we won. We had a grand old time. And then after that, believe it or not, contrary to what you may think, I flew out to Vegas. There's the view from where I was in Vegas. There's the Vegas Strip. And I was out in Vegas and I did rest. Some people asked me, they were hoping that I would rest. I got messages from people who watched the show after I had done my show, my brother's wedding. I did get to rest. Here we are at the pool. It was 90 degrees and I was chill and relaxed for sure for a couple of days. The reason I went out to Vegas is because a lot of my friends, close people in my life, are in the work with Michael Bublé. So he has a residency that's a limited time there at resorts. So I snuck out there to see the show. Here's some of my faves right here. That's Jared Johnson. That's Lauren Smith, and that's Lauren Batley. They're the singers that work with Michael, and you'll see me traveling and seeing them often. Yes, I was in Vegas, Miss Margaret. That's where I disappeared to, and I was only supposed to be off Monday. My flight got canceled Monday night. So I ended up having to take the red eye Monday night into Tuesday. I had to take off Tuesday because I landed at like 9:30. It was so annoying because that was not my intention. But I took some videos of the Bublé show for you in case anyone wants to see them working. They work so hard in this show. They are so fantastic in this show. And the tour is coming everywhere. Not that he needs my plug, but take a peek at how great they are at working. These three singers, the best in the business. Take a look.
That's all
I was just jamming because it's a fun show. Michael is amazing. And you all are so silly. You know, famous friend, no. Yes, maybe some of my friends have become famous. They're my people. And you are Miss Margaret. You're going to see Michael in August at you're going to see Michael at August at MSG. I'll be there too. I will be there too. I'll talk to you about it tomorrow at work. I'll tell you about it tomorrow at work. All about it. Such a great guy, such a great band. I am so excited. Yeah, Abby, they're coming to you this summer. They're doing a castle tour. How did I turn into the Michael Bublé press person? But they're coming to by you for sure. Yeah, thank you. I got to see some close ones, and I got to get away, and I got to hang out and have some fun in Las Vegas and sleep. I slept a lot. Thank you. Thank goodness I slept a lot. So it was a much needed break. And this weekend's nice and chill too. I got to celebrate the moms and all that. All right. So what are we doing after this? Oh, the only other thing I did was I took my goddaughter yesterday out. Again, Vanessa, you saw her. We spoiled her rotten. We went to Dairy Queen. It's like a Jersey rite of passage. It's starting to get warm outside, and you got to go get some Dairy Queen for sure. So nice chill week after I got back from Vegas. So I'll tell you more about that later. It's time for my shameless plug. Are you ready? All right, friends, let's do it.
'Cause I'm shameless.
Yeah, this isn't bad for homemade. It's carb light tortilla. All right. Well, not a big deal, but I am going to be in a local restaurant here in New Jersey. So if you're in my area, if you're in the New Jersey area and you want to say hey, and it's really informal and it's chill and we're just going to sing anything you want, I'm taking requests. Write me a song you love, and it's just going to be me to tracks, no band, just nice and simple. Eat a bowl of pasta, hang out with me. Sunday, June 12th at 5 p.m. If you want tickets, you could go to robertbannon.com. It's at Patsy's Restaurant, which is in Fairview, New Jersey, which is right by where I teach. And I will be doing my big shows this summer. If you want to see me, if you are interested in seeing me and my nonsense, you can go to robertbannon.com. Unfinished Business. My album is streaming everywhere. And at robertbannon.com, you can get all the scoop to see me. I'll be doing a show in Jersey, Maine, Boston, LA, back to New York. I'll be in Delaware for Pride. I am going to be in LA in November, and New York is the big one. So New York is the big one. It's going to be this October 22nd. We'll be celebrating my birthday, and we'll be recording Rewind for a live album. So tickets are actually on sale. There's 5 tickets for $5. And I haven't posted it yet, but if you want the $5 ticket, now's your moment. Go to robertbannon.com, click the link. I think it's on there. It might not be. The Green Room 42 is where the show will be. So grab your tickets if you can. There's $5 tickets available. It's October 22nd. I can't wait to do it all over again and put it out next year. All right. For Mother's Day, my mom loves when I promote that you can donate to the show at rbannon on Venmo or PayPal, and you could donate every dollar we spend. I get donations every week, and the money we get goes towards making the show better, promoting the show. The more we promote the show, the better the guests we get. And I love talking and meeting new, fancy, exciting people. Okay. Boy, did I get everything done? Weekend review. Patsy's, Maine, Massachusetts, New York, New Jersey Pride. I am excited about all of the stuff that we have coming up for sure. I'll be everywhere. I'm doing New Jersey Pride. Did you know that? I'm doing New Jersey Pride. Me and Olivia Lux are doing New Jersey Pride. So you are worth a million times more, $5. Thank you, Sam. I appreciate. Welcome, Sam. Nice to have you here, because we have you work so much. We missed you. We just showed Little Sam. Did you see Little Sam? We had Little Sam on before, in case he missed it. We were at the carnival. Yep, that's her son. All righty. I think that's all I have to say. I think I've kept you guys for 15 minutes. Yes, everyone's typed this man's name into their search engine. Everybody has gone. He's the most controversial guest we've ever had on the roundtable. I've gotten comments saying, talking about this next gentleman, but he's a household name, and he's here. And I'm really excited to talk to him about how he got to where he is and what he's doing. We let everyone on this show, so there's no judgment. We're a place of art and artists, and check out it's going to be something. It's going to be something. Perez Hilton is here.
Hello. That's Adele. I'm Perez Hilton, and welcome to my channel. Yay, you're awesome. Let me tell you what this channel is all about. First and foremost, I post videos every single day. Yay! I do daily pop culture recaps. I spill all the tea and keep it 110% real, giving you insider information and insight that only I can offer. I also have a ton of other kinds of videos that I post here regularly, from music reaction videos, celebrity interviews, musical performance, podcast clips, and more. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a single thing. Oh, and also I have a second YouTube channel. It's The Perez Hilton. If you go over there, I have everything family, me, my kids, my mom. Plus I talk about wellness, my health, your health, dating, and everything else that is non-celebrity related. But if you want to be in the know, this is the place to be. Thanks for checking out my channel, and I appreciate you. Mwah.
All right, listen, you have to have been living under a rock to not know our next guest. He's literally someone would call the original social media influencer. We've all typed PerezHilton.com into our computer, and he's back. He's got a new line of CBD gummies. He's got a online podcast. Perez Hilton is here. Hi, Perez. Welcome.
Hello.
So nice to talk to you. I literally think of my life growing up in my teens and 20s is going to PerezHilton.com.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'm happy to still be here.
Yes.
With a smile on my face. And,
yes.
I wake up every morning grateful.
Well, I was reading about your history and the anticipation of you coming here. You never intended for this to really be the line of work that you're known for. You went to school for acting. You went to NYU. How did this all happen?
When I started, nobody was an influencer. That word didn't exist. There was no blueprint. I didn't know what I was doing. People weren't working or making money on social media. Social media didn't exist back then. It was really, pre-social media. YouTube didn't come around till a couple of years after I started. Instagram much after that. Facebook launched, I think, like the same month that I did. So I just discovered the world of blogging by curiosity, and it seemed interesting to me. I'm like, oh, I want to try that. And it was just what was around back then. But had I been 10 years younger, I might have been a YouTuber instead. And had I been 18 years younger, I might have been a TikToker instead. And if I'm born tomorrow in 20 years' time, that person might be doing something new, because the world and social media and the internet and technology are constantly evolving and changing. And I think one of the things about me, though, is that I embrace change. I know a lot of people, my peers, older folks, who roll their eyes every time a new platform comes around or a new functionality is introduced. And I think it's all great. And I try to be an early adopter, and I try to do all of it because, well, I need to. I like to be honest. Like, I have to work for a living. I don't have, as they say, FU money in the bank. I can't retire because I have 3 children. That's a lot of expenses, plus my mother that I also support financially. But I do all of that also because I still love what I do. And I think it's like my OCD brain and the anxiety in me. Like, I do all of the things that are, quote, best practices. I do the things that you should do, that a grown-up does a lot of the times, or that somebody responsible would do, but sometimes you don't want to do the things you should do, but I do them.
Yes, I completely understand. Well, you literally are the blueprint. You are often imitated, never duplicated. And literally, I remember, and especially, in the queer community, you have always been so outspoken and honest. And when you talked about your family, what's so beautiful, if you don't mind me showing this picture of your family and your kids, I know that may not be the most, it's just what a beautiful family, and what a role model you are to so many people who don't think they could have a traditional family and be surrounded by love. So thank you for being that role model to so many people.
Oh, well, you know, I had my first child in early 2013, almost 10 years ago. And it's
Wow.
been wonderful to see how much of an explosion there's really been since then in queer parenting, whatever way that looks. I chose the surrogacy route for mine, but I have friends that have adopted. I have friends that co-parent with a girlfriend or whatever it might be. You know, I always knew I wanted to have children. So for me, it wasn't ever a question of if, it was just more of a question of when. And I'm glad that I was able to do it when I was.
Yeah, well, they're beautiful. And you look like such a fun, great dad. So they're very lucky to have you.
I try, but I'm also, you know, the disciplinarian, because I do believe in structure, stability, expectations, consequences.
Sure. Yeah.
Lessons that are important for children to learn young, because those are concepts that they're going to be dealing with their entire lives.
Yes, I once heard a therapist of mine in my life said it's not about having your children avoid problems. It's teaching them the tools to be able to handle them, because you're not always going to be there to take care of them. They need to be able to know what life is really like.
I tell them all the time, well, I don't necessarily like doing this or whatever it might be, but you have to do this for this reason and you have to do that. You know, like I don't even try. I have instilled in them through repetition and programming the importance of an incredible work ethic. To me, that's the secret of life, really. The harder you work at anything, the better you get at it and the more results you'll get out of it. And I'm not even just talking professionally. I'm also talking your body. You know, a month ago, I got back into the gym after not going to the gym for 2 years because of COVID. And my mother lives with me and she's older and high risk. So I didn't feel comfortable going into the gym. But now that I'm back in the gym, I feel like a different person. Like, I wake up, I go to the gym, it starts my day off right. I have more energy, I can handle stress better, I'm more productive, I'm sleeping more, all the cliches. But you know, like the harder I work on my body, the more results I get. Or relationships, you know, like I'm not dating anybody right now, but if I was, I do believe you need to be present. You need to spend time together. That's putting in the work to me. So life is all about the work.
Well, speaking of the work and your physical transformation, I mean, that's a great, I get that journey too. Then you go to the gym, you get all in shape, and then you got a book where you get to be posing like this.
That
That's
was
not a lot
no
of work.
Photoshop. Thank you. That was the cover of my memoir, TMI, living up to the title, My Life in Scandal. You can pick it up at perezhiltonbook.com. And yeah, you know, I have experienced a lot in my life. And what surprised me the most about the book process were two things. One, I didn't even want to talk about my childhood, not because I was wanting to hide anything or embarrassed or any other reason. I just thought it was boring. I thought, you know, let's just start when my career started, because that's what people care about, celebrities. But I got so much positive feedback about those first early chapters, the first few ones when I was young, and that was very meaningful to hear from people. And then the second thing that really surprised me was writing the book with my co-writers was a fairly arduous but easy process. It was written over a long period of time, but it just flowed and poured out of me. What was really difficult, surprisingly, was the audio version that I narrate, because, you know, I'm reading some really difficult things and trauma that I experienced. And in a way, kind of like I had to relive the trauma by acting it out or reading it in a performative way. And what happened afterwards is I carried a lot of that with me. And it actually pushed me to, I would say, grieve again my father's death, because he died when I was in high school suddenly, and maybe grieve in a more healthy way this time around, because I'm now older and I have the emotional and mental maturity to handle something so devastating.
Well, that your truth, shines through in the book. And if you want to get it, like you said, PerezHiltonBook.com, grab a copy, make sure you read it and hear all about the journey to being Perez Hilton. Speaking of journey, you have a new, you not only can you scroll through PerezHilton.com, now you can hear you on this Perez Hilton podcast.
Yes.
How did this start? What does it tell us about it?
Like I mentioned earlier, I love trying new things. And also, you have to experiment, right? Like, most successful people have had many failures along the way. So I say that in relation to 2022, and nowadays, there are so many podcasts out there, but I started mine a long time ago now, in 2015. I wasn't the first nor one of the first, but I was early to podcasting. I would say that 2015 was still early to podcasting, and we've been doing it for 7 years, and it's my favorite thing that I do. Because, well, I love YouTube as well. It's one of my favorite things that I do, but I love it because, whereas with my website or my social media, it's all about quick, a podcast is more like going out to eat at a really fancy restaurant and having a tasting menu. You have 4 appetizers and 2 main courses and 3 desserts, and you get to really savor things, and I enjoy that a lot.
How often do you put out
my show? Yeah, my show is about pop culture, of course, and talking about what's trending that week. And we release a new episode every week. And you can hear the Perez Hilton podcast with Chris Booker on Apple Podcasts or directly at perezpodcast.com. And like I was telling you also, I'm always trying new things. For 7 years, we did not have guests on my podcast, but only this year have I started having guests. And I like to be honest, I didn't want to have guests. My co-host and I love chatting with each other. We enjoy each other's company so much, and we always have no idea what the other's going to say, which makes for really compelling listening or viewing. But just, we're having celebrity guests on, and a lot of times they're flaky or they're late, and I just don't want to deal with that. But I did it, and the only reason I'm doing it is because I want to continue to grow our podcast. At first it was audio only, and then, we switched to audio and video. So we're up on YouTube as well, if you want to watch it on my Perez Hilton YouTube channel. And you got to continue to try new things. And that's why we're now adding the element of celebrity guests.
Well, PerezPodcast.com, you could see it on YouTube again. There's the banner, the Perez Hilton podcast. I mean, I love this. There we are, hiding on the sides. Is there anyone that you want to hear about pop culture from more than this guy right here? I mean, he is the modern day inventor of a lot of what we do. And I hear you about the guests. You're so kind. Your people are so kind. You're so timely. This afternoon, a housewife from New York just decided to bail on an interview with me. It's a pain. It's hard to deal with it. All right. So
I'll tell you one of my secrets, but maybe you're already doing that because you mentioned another one today. So I told my podcasting company, I'll do this, but because I know how people are, and because it's just a segment in my show, it's not the entire
Mhm.
podcast with one person. I was like, all right, let's do it twice a month and try to schedule 3 interviews back to back, 30 minutes each. That way, if one person flakes, then I still have 2 interviews. And it, even if I only do 4 interviews a month, that fills my slot for every week that month. But ideally, I'll have 1 or 2 in the bank in case something happens that I need that extra one in reserve. So I definitely try to block shoot my interviews.
That's so smart and so much better with time management, because otherwise it's a lot of wasted time.
I know.
Well, you have a business venture that's been going really well, and I'm fascinated to know how you started this and where we can get it.
Oh
Tell
my
me
God,
about my
I love it. You're so professional. Look at this.
I'm trying. I need your
Thank
old
you.
school white Telestrator pen that used to be on the posts on your website.
Yeah.
Tell me
That
about.
that's my new CBD company, My True 10, and it really was birthed because of the pandemic. I, like many people, was struggling a lot, and I was grasping for air, trying different things, some unhealthy things. Um, like during the beginning of the pandemic, I went from going to the gym every day to being in lockdown to feeling like my world and the whole world, not just mine, was upside down. And I gained in 3 months 33 pounds. That took effort. That was work to gain that much weight in such a short amount of time. But I was reeling. I could not, I could bear, I was not functioning well. So one of the bad things that I did during that time was I put up an Instagram story asking for some peanut brittle. It was a moment of weakness,
Okay.
but I rationalized it, and my brain said, if I'm not buying the peanut brittle, if it's gifted to me, then that's not as bad. And I have to eat anything that's gifted to me. So I had so many people send me peanut brittle. After those 3 months were over and I just gained so much weight, I said, I need to stop this because who knows how long this is going to be. And it's been 2 years plus. And I started walking and I found this group fitness class on Zoom and I started to get things back on track. And I was CBD curious because I had never tried CBD before, actually.
Mhm.
So I did the same exact thing. I put up an Instagram story and I said, if anybody wants to send me some free CBD, please do. I realized quickly that CBD oil was not for me. It's disgusting. Then I had a bunch of folks send me some CBD gummies, and it was wild because I've since learned that CBD is not regulated by the FDA. So not all CBD is created equal. You could buy some CBD and it's crap. And you could buy other CBD and it's really quality, great stuff. So I bought some. I got some sent to me, and it was like, oh, that one's good. And then I got this one sent to me that was the best that I had had. And by that point, I had so much sent to me, and I tried so much. I was so moved by this one company that I had my manager reach out to them and say, we need to partner together to get this to the masses. Because even though the CBD industry is big, when you think of CBD, there's not one brand that comes to mind. It's not like, fast food, McDonald's or Burger King, or soda, Coke or Pepsi. So I viewed that as an opportunity. And especially because a lot of CBD is crap and doesn't work, but mine really does work. So I partnered with this company that creates water soluble gummies. And now we also launched muscle relief gels that actually work. And we're so confident in our product that it comes with a money back guarantee. So if you go to mytrue10.com, you order and you don't like it for whatever reason, we will give you your money back, no questions asked. So that's mytrue10.com. And because I'm always thinking and have OCD and just like a control freak and obsessive. I bought both spellings. So it's My True 10, no matter how you spell it.
Is it like this, or is it with the 10?
Both. I got both.
See, that's why you are who you are and how you get through. My True 10, no matter how you spell, you can't get sent to the wrong page. And you're not that, it's not as expensive as some companies. The products look really quality.
They are.
And the fact that they are. So if you need what are the things that you feel like the CBD has done for you, that the health, the improvements? Is it anxiety? Is it sleep? What are the improvements that you've seen?
Well, I have also learned that this has been, I like to be fully transparent because I am co-owner of this company. I'm a little bit gagged. Like, I am limited in what I could say because, as I mentioned prior, the FDA has not regulated CBD, nor does it allow CBD companies to make any claims, even though studies and research show that CBD is helpful and beneficial for A, B, C, D, E, F, G. The FDA does not let us say that. However, a lot of less reputable CBD companies will still make those claims. They're just exposing themselves to potential fines from the FDA, and we don't want to do that. But if you go to mytrue10.com, we have verified reviews on our website. That means people that actually truly purchased from us shared their experience with our products. And I would say, if you don't know what it is helpful for, do a little research, or talk to a doctor, or read our reviews at mytrue10.com.
Look, you've got people covered. You have the entertainment, you have the inside scoop on pop culture. We can read your book, we can watch you on YouTube, and then there's a whole bunch of ailments that may possibly make you feel better by going to mytrue10.com. So you know what I loved about talking to you and reading about you and hearing your story is, 4 books, podcasts, it's off-Broadway shows, if it's the pop culture stuff, if it's you, as you said, you're a chameleon, you change, you shift, you keep going, if it's through your family, if it's sharing your personal life. The journey, I'm sure it's taken you on a wild ride that you probably as a kid couldn't even imagine. Do you feel like through the years you've changed to the mindset, the thought process, I don't want to say maturity, but the way that you've seen the business, the world? Have you as a person changed? Are you still that 20-year-old and what was the moment? What made you shift gears a little bit from back in the day?
I mean, I'm constantly changing because I am, for a while there, it felt like I was on autopilot and I almost wasn't even living my life. I was just trying to stay afloat. But the last few years, especially, getting back into therapy and just being a father of 3, I've kept asking myself the most important questions in life. What makes you happy? What doesn't make you happy? And trying to find ways to do more of what makes me happy and less of what doesn't make me happy. And that's not easy, but it's an important challenge. And what actually began the process of me changing my thoughts was changing my body. When I began the process of being healthier a decade ago, I started having different thoughts. There is I've noticed a direct correlation between a healthy body and a healthy mind. And the healthier I became, the happier I became as well. And it's all working in unison. And that's not to mean that I was miserable before when I was very overweight, but my thoughts transformed when my body transformed.
I relate to that so much. Before I was unhappy, almost 70 pounds heavier, and my thought process, my limitations, the way I felt about myself and the world, very different. I guess taking care of yourself from the inside out really changes the way you view things for sure.
It's so important. I wish that's the one thing I wish that I would have started doing when I was younger. I'm still youngish.
Yes.
Is, I wish I would have placed an emphasis on health. But that's why when I, talk to my children, I lead by example, and I stress the importance of being healthy, and I talk to them about what that means and the many different ways that I'm healthy, and I instill in them healthy habits like going to bed at bedtime. And I'm a stickler for bedtime because they have to get their sleep, making sure that they are active outside of school. So they take Taekwondo twice a week, they go to swim class, they play and just do more than just watch television, which is all I did when I was young.
Well, Perez, you're a pleasure. You are a pleasure. It's nice to know the man behind the website, the man behind the blog and the gossip and the pop culture, to know about you as a dad and as a person and as a businessman. I really appreciate you being here. Everyone, of course, you can always go to PerezHilton.com, but you go to PerezHiltonBook.com, PerezPodcast.com, MyTrue10.com, all the Perez all the time. And you could, of course, follow him on at Perez Hilton or at the Perez Hilton. If you want to follow the man, follow at the Perez Hilton as well. Perez, my show is your show. It's so nice to meet you. Thank you for making time for us today. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you for having me on. And I wish you lots of health and inspiration.
Back at you. Thank you so much. I so appreciate you.
Thank you.
Health and whatever. Yes, the Perez Hilton podcast, and how great and sweet he's gone, and is that. What a wonderful, sweet interview. I see some of your comments. Let me put glasses on because I was trying to be cool, and now I'm not cool. I can't be cool anymore. Happy Cinco de Mayo, Christina. Happy Cinco de Mayo, Mike. We talked about you before, Mike. I said that you were my Mike, but you're Mike of the world, because we were playing with this at the top of the show. I was gonna hang it. I was afraid it was gonna fall down. But yeah, Mike, the world's Mike Malfa. And Christina, if you get the CBD gummies and the peanut bread, I'll call me. Or CBD, am I allowed to say that as a teacher? Anyway, thank you, Christine. We tried to have a deep, meaningful conversation. He was intentional before he got here. Now that he's not here, to talk about his business and his brand. He was a little bit particular about talking about he's evolved. He would really like to evolve. Yeah, Mike, you could see me talk about you being the Mike Malfa for the all mankind. Hey, friends. So before we get started with Peppermint, I just wanted to say I try not to make this show political, and I'm not going to make it political. I promise. There's so much going on in the world. And I want you to stick around for Peppermint's conversation, because I have a feeling it's going to go long, and we're already running long. But I don't want you to leave, because it's really important that how dare you? And you're my sister-in-law. That's my sister-in-law, everyone. We saw pictures of the wedding last week. And she's watching this on YouTube and not Facebook. So we are going through some times in the world, and with love and respect for however you feel about the world, for me, it feels like there's an attack on groups of people. And I don't get political in my classroom, but I do know what's right or wrong. And what's right, when I was growing up, was that we protect women, we protect people of color, we protect queer rights, we protect trans women and men, we protect people who are people, because we all are people, and we all are trying to make it in this world, and we all have struggles, and we should mind our business about what it's like in to be in their shoes. We can't judge how people are doing, because we're not in their shoes and in their predicament. So I hope you vote, and I hope you support people who don't have it as simple or easy as you. You know, I have a different life as a white guy who lives in New Jersey than I would if I was a trans woman living in Alabama or in Russia or in the Saudi Arabia. And we have to be careful about how we judge and respect and appreciate all people. We shouldn't be making decisions for other people in their lives. We should be supporting them. So when Peppermint wanted to come on and talk, and her bag's lost, is what we were told. Her bag is lost. Her makeup is lost, so she doesn't want to put the camera on. I'm not going to reschedule or cancel because we need to hear from a voice like Peppermint more than ever. The first trans performer to ever be on RuPaul's Drag Race. Now there were 4 last year. As a school teacher, it's becoming more and more prevalent, and in society, you need to hear her experience and what she thinks and the journey she went on. Take a peek a little bit about where she's come from and what's going on, and stick around afterwards for a tribute to my mom. So take a peek at this.
Oh my gosh. Hey. I am Peppermint and I am sweet.
Yeah. I'm Brittany, and you should hear how I say pictures, cause we dress so fast.
Can't get too far ahead. Let's take it step by step. I'm here for it. All we got is our best. We'll take it as it comes. I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
All right, everybody, we have been watching her for years. She is a multi-hyphenate, talented trailblazer. She's not only a singer, a writer, an actress, everything. Peppermint, you do everything. You're here. Welcome.
Well, hi, Robert. Thank you. I do it all, honey. I do it all.
You do it all. Thank you for being here. We appreciate it. You know, people have been asking. We've had some of your contemporaries on or other queens on through the years, and they're like, where's Peppermint? Because we're kind of the Broadway / where the queer kids hang out. And we are so excited to have you here because you literally, like you said.
I like it. Well, I love the spot where the queer kids hang out, and I'm happy to finally be at the round table.
Thank you for being here. So I know that you've been very honest. I'm in real life, I'm a school teacher and I teach 5th grade, and I have to, before we get into the fun stuff and all the work that you're doing, you've been so honest about your experiences growing up. And I know, as someone who didn't really have role models looking up, thank you for being so honest and transparent about your struggles and your journey. I know you're from Hershey, Pennsylvania. I know that you were in theater at a very young age, and you've been so outspoken. Has it been a healing thing? Is it a hard thing for you to be so honest about your years and the bullying and the picking on, like all the things you've went through? What is it like to look back?
So yeah, I really appreciate that, and thank you for your service as a teacher. I certainly know that when I was in school, probably the first line of defense, not to use two sort of military analogies, but were the teachers who were open-minded and loving and accepting, regardless of who everybody was, and so there were certainly very warm and caring souls as teachers who I gravitated towards, and they not only were safe for me, but also fostered safe spaces in their classrooms, even if it wasn't what you would typically think of, an actual like intentional safe space. Even if it was like math class, which is the last place that I would have wanted to go. But if that teacher was really, loving and caring and open, then I would run into math class if I was like worried the bullies were chasing me, something like that. So yeah, as an adult, it might be a little bit therapeutic, or there might be some catharsis happening, for me to be able to share my story unabashedly now. But really,
it's more, certainly more so because I would love to have been able to listen to a podcast like this or listen to a conversation like this and hear some of these, um, some, someone speaking about their gender, their sexuality, and their identity, having been a part of a marginalized community, freely and without shame and without fear. Um, and I think everybody who has, I do believe there was a TED Talk that I watched once where the speaker, I can't remember their name at the moment, said that they believe that everyone has a closet. And I do believe that. I believe that everyone has a little bit of a closet, that's something that they have to overcome, adversity, challenges in life. But obviously people who who are queer come from can come from a really particular set of experiences that connect us all. And so even though don't even know how to use TikTok, I certainly feel a connection with a lot of younger folks in our queerness, and we're connected in that way. And so being able to share a bit of my story, it feels rewarding to me.
Well, it helps a lot of people. I know that for a fact. And, before Drag Race and before your Broadway and television and film and everything, you were quite the name on the New York scene. You didn't just show up on Drag Race. I mean, you were a fixture at the Tunnel. And if you're from the New York, I'm from Jersey. Anyone on the East Coast knows the Tunnel. anyone knows those nightclub days. And if you're a certain age,
it though if they were there.
anyone of a certain age, like perhaps myself, knows the Tunnel. And so you've been at this game for a long time before TV and this whole other career. You've been at entertaining people for, how old were you when you started?
Well, I started doing drag, and I guess it's not that unique for me. Drag was really, and it still is, but was primarily pretty much strictly a nightlife thing. When I, was young and was attracted to drag, you would see, even if you would see folks on TV or from, during the day at events or festivals and things, these were queens who were like literally rolling out of, the nightclub to go to the daytime event. And so when I started doing drag, I was, started at a couple of drag bars and things like that back home. I was living in Wilmington, Delaware at the time, towards the end of high school. Even though my first time in drag, I would like to say, was in high school for Halloween. And then I did it for a couple of, like, a little drag contest that we had during the pep rally. But my real start as if you could say, professional drag entertainer was at the Tunnel here in New York. When I moved to New York to go to acting school, and I would be in school during the day. It was like a very queer, Clark Kent Superman moment. Go to school during the day, and I was drag queen at night. And that was those were some great times, learning all the ropes and learning, meeting my community, which I was obviously seeking, as a lot of folks do, who don't have the pleasure of being born in or around a big city, seeking out my community, our community of the freaks and the queers and the everything else is. And of course, I say that very lovingly. And so that's really how I got my start. And I was doing the door, of all places. I was a rope girl, helping in charge of, like, who would get into the club and who wouldn't. And I basically let everybody in because I didn't care. But that was my first job. And I was standing outside in the elements. That only lasted like probably a month or two before I was like, please let me come inside. It's so cold. And I'll work for free. And I told them I would work for free. I guess that's a thing. I can't imagine that now, but that's what I did. And that's how I worked for the first 6 months or so, until I eventually got a whole $50 a week.
Oh my gosh.
I thought I was rich, honey.
Oh my Wait, I was gonna say, so you were the reason I couldn't get in back in the day at the door. Well, it's legendary, and you met a community, and then you go on. Time goes on. I know you worked a lot in the drag scene. You do the show, but what is so trailblazing about the show? Yet you make it to the finals, and it's the 9th season, and all of that. But you were the first trans contestant before the show started. And at that time, that was a big deal for the show. How was it? Did you face backlash? Was it something that was very hard to publicly come out in that way, or was it embracing and empowering? How did you feel at that time? You really blazed the way for all the queens that are now that are so able to live in their truth. It's really thanks to people like you.
Oh, thank you for that. It really does. It makes me just so overjoyed to sit and watch a show. Obviously, just watched season 14 finale and was able to see so many. I mean, the winner now of Drag Race is a trans woman, right? And so even though, everyone has a different sort of pathway in terms of their journey and being trans, there's obviously a lot of things we can identify with. And so I couldn't be, I guess on a season where there's 5 out trans women, then the winner better be trans. And so I'm just so overjoyed. And these folks are also obviously trailblazers. And I don't know, I wonder how they felt when they were packing, how they were sort of thinking about how they were going to tell their story once they were sort of reintroduced to the world via Drag Race. I wonder, because I was certainly had a lot of anxiety and a lot of stress when I was preparing for my season, because there weren't other trans women in the room that I knew of, and there certainly weren't a lot of people who were out and trans that were talking about going to do Drag Race. Certainly, there were many beautiful and lovely trans entertainers who have done Drag Race in their past. But in terms of people who were getting ready to be on the show or at the beginning of that process, there just weren't a lot. And in fact, the conversation, right now, the conversation is we want to see more trans people on television and movies in general, but on shows like Drag Race. And that's the call. That's the call to action for the show to fulfill or not. That's coming from the fan base. That's coming from the viewers of the show, and obviously from the community. And that's what's on the mandate now. But what was on the mandate? That was not what was on the mandate in 2016. And so when I was preparing to do the show, the language was very much, saying these words that are now considered, to be inappropriate and labeled and, categorized as transphobic. I think rightly so. Some of the words that were used on the show and other words that are used in the community. And that's how people were casually referring to trans women, was, rhymes with Danny, but starts with the TR. And, that's how, like, friends and people in the community who didn't mean harm were speaking about trans folks. And that's what the language that was being used, similar language on the show, not only Drag Race and on other reality shows. Christian Siriano legendarily had a saying that was a hot blank mess. And so this is just what was, par for the course, and how people were talking about us and referring to us or using this language that was connected to us in some way. And even more than that, there were, folks who had been on the show previously, recently at that time, who were using a lot of this language. And there were very brave, I would like to call them brave, trans women who were associated with the show and had done it in the past who were speaking out. Carmen Carrera had a very public moment with Katie Couric, specifically speaking about what's appropriate when you're talking to and interviewing a trans person, asking us about our surgeries, even referring to our surgeries, especially in the context of validating whether or not we are actually women, or quantifying our identities in some way by the surgery count. That was the way you had to do it back in that day. But then, because of people like Laverne Cox and Carmen Carrera and Monica Beverly Hills and some of those other fabulous trans women who were having these very tough conversations before I ever even was speaking about this publicly, obviously before I was on Drag Race, because of them, the conversation started to shift. But there was, as we all know, when you get a lot of more visibility, as we're seeing right now with Republicans and people in power in Florida and Texas and Alabama and many other states, now that they're fully aware of who we are, now they know how to find us and how to target us and where we're vulnerable. And that felt like that was just beginning several years ago, about 2016, 2017, when I was auditioning to be on the show. And so I wasn't sure what the response would be. There was a bit of backlash, not major. Most of it was very positive and celebratory, but there were people who were, saying, "Oh, well, she's not a real woman because she doesn't have breast job at the time," or to the other extreme, well, now that she identifies as trans, she's basically just a boring woman, and that's not exciting for us to see on TV. So get rid of the women. It's like, what? Excuse me, your transphobia and your cis sexism and your very, very, I believe, certainly internalized homophobia, maybe even transphobia showing. And that was coming from within our community. I'm not talking about Rick DeSantis as governor. I'm talking about people in our community. And so it was a tough time. It was really difficult for me to hear from other trans women that I wasn't a good representation of the trans community because of how I looked, because I didn't have probably a Playboy centerfold body or something like that. And I still don't. And so that is difficult. And I'm so grateful for the wonderful messaging, which resonated with me on season 14's finale with Cornbread, really speaking quite candidly and also in a loving way, that, she's a trans woman, period, regardless of how she looks to anyone else and regardless of how they want to judge. And so her using Beauty and the Beast as her outfit and her look and for the finale, that was obviously, it resonated with me and it was not lost on me. And so, yeah, that's what it was like, though, to answer your question.
Well, powerful. No, it's so powerful. I talked to Alexandra Billings a couple of weeks ago, and Alexandra Billings was talking about, breaking into show business and the same kind of questions coming up from casting directors, going in and people saying, "Would you have surgery? Are you like?" I can't, it's beyond even, you can't ask people about your age, your race, your economic status, to go in and treat people like second-class citizens. And it's people like you and people like all the people you mentioned that have really blazed the trail where, you should not be able to play a trans woman and win an Oscar when you're not a trans woman. There are actresses out there that should be playing roles. What was going
Yeah, and not to go, and certainly not to bring up something that you didn't ask, but I do believe in acting as an art form and in storytelling, and I do think that everyone should have the ability to participate in some way in that storytelling. But the simple fact, it's not about whether so and so is going to be convincing or good as whatever role they're trying to play. It really is, as human beings right now. And I know you know this, but for listeners, how there is an element of discrimination and lack of jobs and an energy that's put into keeping trans people out of public spaces, keeping us out of jobs, and that contributes obviously to how we experience life. and it contributes to the high rates and the different percentages that trans people experience things like violence and homelessness, abuse, and so on and so forth, and obviously discrimination. And so if there's something as humans that we can do about that, if you are in a position of power where you can give a job or you can help someone do something, then why not do it? And some of that includes, let's be a little bit more intentional about if we need a trans person to be in this, and it doesn't matter if it could just be some dude, then why not actually get a trans woman to play the role? If it really doesn't matter and you all really don't know that much about the trans experience anyway, then why not get someone authentic? Gone are the days where we're like, we need somebody to play Native American. Let's just get any person and throw some brown makeup on them and stick a feather and then have them, jump around and make noises. And that's the authentic story. No, we want to tell these stories authentically. Why not? And doing that means including, people like us in those stories. I know you know that, but I wanted to say that.
Yeah. Yes, it needs to be said. Speaking, you think progressive, and we'll get to, there's a lot of fun stuff you have, and I want to talk about your music. But before I say that, just to show you, people think musical theater, especially with the LGBTQIA plus community, is progressive. You were the first trans woman to originate a role on Broadway. So you're talking about how, Broadway's been around for 100 years. You broke that you're the trailblazer in that as well. I know you went to AMDA. I know you studied musical theater since you were a kid. That must have been quite an accomplishment. What an accomplishment.
Yeah, well, it was certainly a full circle moment for myself, very personal, because when I moved to New York and was, going to class, I was obviously going to AMDA, which for those who don't know is a theater school. And so obviously Broadway and professional theater and film and television were in my mind when I was, thinking about myself in the world of entertainment. But very quickly, I found the dark side, not the dark side, the bright side, drag in the dark side of nightlife, the dark side, which is nightlife, but as a gleaming light of drag. And, that was obviously something that resonated with me, and maybe because I like the glitz and the glam, or maybe because I'm, like staying up late, but certainly because I was able to be in charge. And this is the space, drag, whether it's in a nightclub or whatever. This is the space that at the time I was allowed to let what I brought to the table lead and inform the entertainment, the role, the thing I was doing. And, I was able to branch out a little bit outside of the nightclubs. And I worked at a place called Lips Restaurant, where I was able to really sort of hone in sort of the live performance piece of it. And then I was able to go on and audition for smaller parts and some cameos and different things from film and television, which I did. I worked with Nicole Kidman never mind, I won't say what, because I don't like how I'm credited, so never mind. I worked with Nicole Kidman. I worked with, I was on Ugly Betty. I did all these wonderful experiences that I got to have very early on in my acting career, and then very well into my drag career. So as an actor, I was new on set, but as a drag entertainer who was bringing this queerness that I wore and also wore very, very, like, right on my sleeve at the forefront. It was very accessible to other people. And so that was, it was great for me to be able to be, someone who didn't have to hide her queerness or her transness. We're watching Misha Collins coming out and then going back in. I don't know what's going on. And I don't mean to criticize, or certainly don't mean to reduce that experience, but, certainly there might be, one would assume, an element of shame or embarrassment around that conversation. There definitely is for people who do identify as bi or trans or gay or queer, and are afraid to come out because of their fear of being rejected by their community and people that they know, and certainly by the acting industry. And so I didn't have any of that because I was not in the acting industry first. I was in the drag industry first. And so I had like, you, honey, you want something good? It's me. You're getting me. So you want to put me in your thing. And if you don't, then you're not getting me. So fine. And so that was kind of my mindset. And I just had to bring that to Drag Race as well and to Broadway. You know, I was told in class when I encountered plenty of people in the acting world when I was in college that all of that queerness that I just talked about wasn't what people were hiring, wasn't what people were writing. And that's true. It wasn't. It was not. And so then I retreated to the world of drag for a few minutes, meaning a couple of decades. And then coming back later as a woman who was an adult, I was able to really just bring something different to whatever I was offering. And, you know, doing Broadway felt very full circle for me.
Absolutely. And what a beautiful show, and what a beautiful, I got to see you and your light, and you bring that to everything, including your music, your original music, which earlier you released an album called Girl Like Me, and this is a trilogy, and the new, it's just Moment of Weakness is just out. Letters to My Lovers, you can stream it right now wherever music is heard. Can you tell us about this? What a brilliant idea. It's literally like a look into your life. Where did the idea come from? Tell us a little bit about what the music is.
Yeah. Well, you know, first and foremost, it's R&B. It's 90s and early 2000s R&B. I just started implementing the word aughts into my vocabulary. I don't know if I think that's so bizarre. People probably are like, what? Anyway, early 2000s R&B and late 90s, which is like, that's the sweet spot for the R&B music and the hip hop. And so I've always loved R&B and wanted to do an R&B album because all my stuff in the past has been very dancey.
Right.
And so after I had a very robust, I won't say tumultuous, but robust romantic relationship not that long ago, I had the opportunity to sit during the pandemic and really write and you know, come up with some music that really spoke to me, that was nice R&B music that really kind of chronicled my experience. And, you know, I hadn't really seen or heard an out trans woman, a Black trans woman who had some mainstream success singing about loving and being loved in a positive way, right? In music, and hadn't really heard that. And so I was like, well, this is an opportunity to do it. I have these poems that turned into like a million songs, and might as well do, it's too many songs for one album, so let's do 3. And then that obviously is what became sort of this trilogy. I call it my opus. And it's basically the beginning and the middle and the end of this relationship that I've had so many feelings in. I experienced every single flavor, every single tone, every single color of love, from the passion and the sex of it all, to the jealousy, to the, you know, resentment and the loneliness. All of these things I experienced, and I think they come with a good old healthy plate of love. That's what's on the menu. And I wanted to be able to say that as a trans woman, we can have that too. And, you know, as trans people who often do, as queer people, but definitely trans people who often do a lot of self-evaluation and reflection and development and, you know, all, you know, overly scrutinizing everything about who we are and how we look to other people and how we move, how do we sound, everything. I think queer people have done that, especially if you've experienced living in the closet or being in the closet for a part of your life before coming out. Um, what you can get as a result of that is a very developed person who is very much in tune and in touch with who they are and what they offer, particularly if you're a person of trans experience, because you're doing that work on the outside and the inside, generally. And so you would be so lucky to date someone who has done that much work on themselves. And I say that not being cocky, but I think I want someone who has thought about their contributions to the world and thought about how they fit in with other people and thought about these things, not from a perspective of being afraid of what everyone thinks or caring too much about what other people think, but more from a perspective of knowing what they offer and knowing how to add to what they come with. And I think that I certainly tried to do that. And I know that there's other trans women that I'm very close with who do the same. And so I wanted to put all that in an album. I know that's it's a tall order for some music, but I feel like people can handle it. Here, they can handle a trans woman singing about loving someone. But even moreover, I want people to see a trans woman being loved and adored, not beaten, not killed,
Right.
not discriminated against, even though these things are very real and it's happening. But I wanted to show us being loved. There's a quote by Cornel West that just really resonates with me. It says, "Justice is what love looks like in public." And this is a very, that just hits me right at the center. Because right now, I think what the trans community needs is justice. What we are deserving of is justice. When I talk about Florida, and it's not just the Don't Say Gay bill, it really is aimed at gender identity and gender expression, which definitely affects everyone, including gay and lesbian school-age children and everyone else. But certainly people who are just beginning to sort out their feelings and what transness means for them. And so places like Texas and places like Alabama and Mississippi and South Dakota, where these discriminatory laws are being just downloaded and up and installed into their local governments, it's so important that we have justice. And again, what Cornel West says is justice is what love looks like in public. So people need to see us being loved with every single headline that comes out, that we're being kicked off the swim team and taken out of the bathrooms and held out of the school and wherever it is that's happening, people need to see us being loved. And so I wanted to show that in this album.
Absolutely. And well, what you say is it's so important. There's so much that you say than the wisdom you impart. It's so true. It's I used to say that about the gay community. It's like, there are gay couples out there that are monogamous, that have kids, that go to jobs.
Mm-hmm.
They're not naked dancing on a box somewhere, doing. It was so important to show the gamut of representation, and especially trans women of color. The media depicts them in a certain way. People stereotype of them as a certain way. So to put out an album that is really love songs, it's a brilliant idea, because to do the cycle of think about the relationships we're in. You fall in love with somebody, you have this amazing time. It gets to be bad and it ends. It's all the emotions, and now you can live your relationship, everybody, that you're going through right now with Peppermint. You can listen to the first. Come on. Installment 1 and 2 is out now. Weakness to My Lover is out now. You could stream it now. Can you tell us a little bit about your single, the Broken Home single, which firstly, Jerome Bell Bastien, is that how you say it? Bastien?
Bastion. Mm-hmm.
Or something.
He is. Woo! Honey, if he weren't married and gay, oh honey, please, woo, child, he is very, very fine, and his voice is so. It's like his voice is like sex. It's like audible sex. His voice,
gorgeous.
And so I was so happy and pleased. We've known each other for a long time, and I was so happy. We've been friends for a while, and I was very pleased when he said yes to doing a feature on the song. And we, I went to the studio and co-wrote this with one of my writing partners, Adam Joseph. And first, we weren't sure if this was going to be a duet or what. And then we said, no, let's make this a couple singing about their relationship. And so in a way that's so distant and so cold, but you can still feel the passion in the situation, because there are people who I know who have been in relationships with for a few years or whatever, and let's say they've lived together, and then they break up, but they're still living together. That's obviously a thing, especially in big cities. And you have to relearn how to be around each other. And sometimes you don't like that person. Sometimes you might end up having a surprising night.
Yes.
But all of these things can happen. And being I wanted to write about that in a very real way, to show a couple, who's starting to experience a little bit of this doubt and this resentment. And the beginning of the end is what I like to call it in this relationship. And so that's in Broken Home. It's the lead single from the album, and I feel really proud about it.
You should. It's a beautiful single. There's video. Like, the whole thing is just a beautiful project. And then by the end of the year, after we get through the weakness moments, we'll hopefully get the finale of the trilogy.
We will. Validation. We're finalizing validation right now. Validation letters to my lovers. And that's, of course, the relationship is over. And this is the moment of empowerment where the phoenix gets to rise from the ashes. And there's some wonderful moments on there. We have some just great collaborations that we're putting together for the album. Most of the stuff is already recorded, so it's just a matter of getting it ready and then releasing it.
Well, listen, everybody, you don't listen to albums anymore. I'm a child of the 80s. Like, you go to the store, you buy an album, you listen to this from beginning to end when all three parts come out together. Don't just listen to the single. I mean, listen to the single, but listen to the whole piece, because you're really telling a story. There's a beginning, a middle, and an end. So I hope people, get on the elliptical machine or take a walk or whatever. And play this music from beginning to end. Can you tell us a little bit about, I know we're going to see you on Hulu. You have a new film coming out. The new film is called Fire Island. I've been hearing about this film. Mark is in it. I know Nick Adams is in it. Talk about Broadway. Can you tell us a little bit about what we're going to see June 3rd when it's out on Hulu?
Yeah, I'm so excited. I didn't even know that we were going to be on Hulu, premiering on Hulu. There's such a wonderful cast. I was, they asked me to come in and have a little cameo moment. I basically play myself in the film. And I'm sort of like let's just say sort of like a drag Cupid in some sort of way. And, the cast is so wonderful. Conrad Ricamora, who's starring off Broadway in Little Shop of Horrors right now. Everyone has to go see. Bowen Yang, who's a dear sweetheart of mine, such a wonderful, such a sweet guy. A Joel Kim Booster, and so it's just a wonderful cast, primarily of Asian American folks, and I just feel so good about the representation in this film. Of course, obviously Margaret Cho. There's only two women in the movie, myself and Margaret, and I've worked as a New Yorker. I've worked on Fire Island and obviously visited Fire Island many, many, many times. And it is just a staple in queer, certainly gay, but definitely even queer sort of party life and vacation life. And whether you are the 20-year-old going to this mysterious island for the first time, or you are, a senior and you have more than one house or not, and you are going to go on vacation. There's so many people that have all these experiences on Fire Island. And it's not just gay. There's obviously straight folks on the island as well, and not only in the gay section. I mean, Fire Island's great big. But the experience of going to Fire Island in the summer times for the summer, for the entire summer, is a real thing. One of my very dear friends from Ireland, it's so funny. She is the head drag queen at and a showrunner in at a bar called The George, in a nightclub really in Dublin, Ireland, which is one of my favorite places to visit. And we were talking one day, and I hadn't even put two and two together. The first time we had ever even met was in Fire Island, and she would fly across the pond to go to land in New York and not even go to New York City, but instead go to Fire Island, Long Island, which is obviously where it's located. And so, yeah, I'm so excited about this film. I think people are really going to enjoy it.
Well, I mean, it's why I haven't made a movie about Fire Island before. I have no idea.
I know. Doesn't it seem like I'm like, wait a minute, this should have been done.
There's plenty to talk about Fire Island. I know for a fact. So listen, over the next month, you have plenty of Peppermint that is you can listen to the music, you can watch on the show. She'll be hosting the GLAAD Awards. You're nominated for a GLAAD Award. What an honor. What an exciting.
Wonderful.
So exciting. And we'll be watching. We haven't even talked about, you have your shows that are on LTV. You have, Call Me Mother, which is so brilliant of an idea. Do you have a minute to just tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, absolutely. Call Me Mother. It's a drag reality competition show. So anybody that loves Drag Race, I think will really like Call Me Mother. We just got picked up for season 2, and I'm actually on location filming right now. And so I'm really excited about season 2 to do that. But in the meantime, people can watch season 1. It is 3 houses, 3 mothers, 3 drag houses, 3 drag mothers rather, and just 1 drag winner. And at the end of every episode, the house that's in the bottom, the mother of the house that's in the bottom has to decide which of her children to send home. And it's very dramatic. And so I don't want to spoil it, but the winner of season 1 may have been or not from my house. But people should go and watch season 1, which is on Out TV. And there's some really great programming on Out TV. I actually, at first I just watched the show itself, but then I got a subscription. I was like, let me check this out. And there's everything queer on there. And so people should check it out.
Absolutely. Go to Out TV and you can get your subscription. Everything is streaming. That's where all the fun stuff is, for sure. You are such a pleasure. You are so kind and generous with your time today. Thank you so much. We will be following you. We are rooting for you. We're supporting you. We are fans.
Thank you.
And thank you for the outspokenness and the advocacy you do, because you literally save lives, Peppermint. You really have. And I see that in my own classroom every day. These kids need role models and people to make them feel that they're okay. And it's people like you that do. So thank you from the bottom of all of our hearts for all the work you do. You put yourself out there, and we appreciate you. We're rocking with you. We're rolling with you.
Well, thank you. Oh, shucks. I'm so happy to be here on the Roundtable, and thank you so much, Robert.
Thank you. My show's your show anytime. Well, yeah. What a sweetheart. What a sweet sweetheart. The Peppermint album is out. I told you we were going to run long. I told you we were running super long. I told you we had Perez Hilton and Peppermint here, and they have a lot to say. They're not people who have nothing to say, as you know. So, yes, Peppermint, the music is out. And thank you. They are important issues, Christine. And, that's why, and thank you for hanging, because I know it's super long. I really wanted people to stick around because I knew we were going to get into a deep conversation about important issues going on in the world with the Don't Say Gay bill, with the attack on others, including women. It's important that we really support and stand up for one another and to talk about what it's really like. And I know in our school that I teach in, it's become a real issue about how to handle it. And we got to handle it carefully, because these babies are delicate, and we need to treat them with as much respect and understanding as we possibly can, especially when it's Teachers Appreciation Week. You know what I'm saying? And as Mike said before, Cinco de Mayo. Next week, mandatory watching. She's our dream girl. Tony and Grammy winner Jennifer Holliday is here May 19th at 7 p.m. You're not going to want to miss it. That's wrong. She's not here on the 19th. She's here on the 12th. That's wrong. She's here on the 12th. She's here next week. Jennifer Holliday is here next week. You're not going to want to miss it. I'm so excited. I don't even know what to do. Happy Mother's Day, everybody. Happy Mother's Day. You know, my mom, who tells you all to donate every single week, and, you know, you say she gets mad when you don't Venmo at R. Bannon. Let me tell you a little bit about my mom. First, so there's so many moms out there who are so wonderful, and I want to say Happy Mother's Day to all the moms in my life. It takes a village to take care of me, from my cousin to the people I work with to everybody. Cousins, aunts, ex-wives. So what I want to say is that my mom is the type of mom that every week she donates to this show. Every week. She's the type of mom that still at 38 years old, I'll hand her clothes for my last show and she'll iron it the day of the show. She will fight with us to pay for the bill on Mother's Day because she never wants me or my brother to put our hand in our pocket. She is eternally a mom. She's a mom's mom. So I put together a 40-second little something because she doesn't get a lot of attention. She does not seek a lot of attention like my dad. And she's so quiet and chill. And she is secretly the strength and the heart behind me and my brother. And so happy Mother's Day, Rose Bannon. And everybody, I'll see you next week with Jennifer Holliday. Thank you for hanging with me. Thank you for dealing with this show. Thank you to everyone new who watched, and I'll see you soon.